pretty dramatic stuff, and I guess indicates that maxim of never complain or explain has just gone out the window as far as Prince Harry is concerned.
Oh, absolutely. I think that his refusal to accept a settlement without an appearance, I mean, this is what he wanted, because he sees himself as a champion of those who have been, and he believes his whole life has been blighted, as we saw in that extraordinary witness statement, by press intrusion, using phrases like vile and talking about the way the mental health had been affected and various examples that was very, very clearly he is extraordinarily angry and passionate. But there's absolutely no doubt that it's going to be fascinating and indeed a duel between someone who is a very experienced investigator and someone who is extraordinarily, well, unused to this, because as a member of the royal family, in all the interviews that he's given so far, and looking back to him and Meghan on Oprah, I mean, they didn't probe at all, quite the contrary. This is very, very different.
It's interesting, of course, that we've got a KC who is trying to establish whether there is direct evidence rather than the suspicions. But, of course, it is the judge deciding on the balance of probability rather than the jury deciding on, the facts being proved. So there's an interesting dynamic at play here. And it's also interesting that Harry's made these more general comments rather than the specifics about the power of the press, claiming the police and the government were scared to hold them accountable.
Yes, this is where we see a battleground shaping up between, on the one hand, Harry saying a certain piece of evidence or something would never have happened without there being hacking, and then Green's response, prove it. And then Harry could say, and will say, and has said, what about the journalists who wrote it? Why aren't they in court? So this battle is going to be, it will be absolutely fascinating, but whether this business of the balance of probability, the facts are you need proof clearly, proof to satisfy the judge that phone hacking, which of course occurred in certain instances with the Mirror Group, and they paid out, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it has happened in the specific ones which Harry has mentioned. So outrage is one thing, proof obviously is another.
Yeah, and where the allegation of the MGN staff or private detectives working on their behalf were directly using these illegal means of gathering information, or whether they were gathering it by contacts and other newspapers and so on. But I just wonder what this might do for the public perception too of Prince Harry, in that we're getting a fuller picture of what it's done to him over the years with this constant press intrusion and attention.
Yes, absolutely. And I think the witness statement, and when that, for example, comes out in the papers more because it was huge and people haven't really time to digest it. And I think there will be a lot of sympathy because when he was very young, his mother, the way she was affected, and we know how tragically she died, also his relationship with Chelsea Davy, and the fact that his whole life he sees himself as being persecuted. And the facts are that there's no question that the phone hacking issue was one of the deepest shame for the British press. To what extent it could be proven that these specific 33 articles were as a result of it, that will be, of course, whether or not he wins the case. But there will be sympathy for a lot of what he says, especially with those who have long memories, and very possibly it'd be very interesting to see how young people respond to the way he feels he's been treated.